At the Gates of Darkness, The Demon War Saga, Book 2, by Raymond E. Feist. Read by Peter Joyce. Chapter 1. Sacrifice. Howls filled the night. The blasted hills smoked, and the stench of char filled the air. Hundreds of robed figures slowly wended their way between rocky debris to reach the huge clearing below the remains of a fortress gate tower. A powerful man stood silently on top of the pile of stones, looking down upon his followers. Another figure waited in the shadows, using his considerable skill to remain unseen, and wishing fervently that he was anywhere else in the world but here. James Dasher Jameson took a slow, even breath, as much to calm himself as to catch his breath, and struggled to keep his wits about him. Within the courts of the three largest nations of the region, he was known as a minor noble of the Kingdom of the Isles, a man who had inherited, not earned, his rank, being the grandson of the Duke of Rillanon. To others he was Jim Dasher, a businessman involved in some petty criminal dealings in the city of Crondor, and to a few he was known as the Upright Man, leader of the Thieves' Guild, the Mockers. But even fewer knew James Dasher Jameson as the head of the Kingdom of the Isles intelligence apparatus, reporting directly to his grandfather. In his 40 or so years, Jim had seen many strange and terrifying things, experiences that came with his various positions. At times he feared he had become as heartless a bastard as those he had put down in the name of the Crown, or for the Conclave of Shadows, with whom he often worked. But even his lifetime of violence and intrigue could not have adequately prepared him for what he now saw before him. A massive fire encompassed a circle of stakes, to which were tied 4 human sacrifices. They were not the first. Already the dead numbered in the dozens, if not hundreds. But what churned Jim's stomach more than this terrible scene was that the slain had seemed willing, even eager to embrace a painful, flaming death. Around the edges of the clearing, more victims dangled at the ends of ropes. Moments before, Jim had witnessed them place the nooses around their own necks and jump off small ladders to hang themselves. Many necks had broken with an audible crack, but a few had died slowly, kicking for what had seemed far too long a time. Jim had seen more than his fair share of public hangings in Crondor, but this was far more horrific than a criminal reaping his just deserts. This was a chilling display of self-sacrifice to evil. The howls lessened as the masochists finally began to lose consciousness and die. As Jim watched, sickened, another score were impaled on wooden stakes, their blood and feces filling the air with the unforgettable stench of death. Some of them quivered and twitched as their own weight drove the stakes deeper into their bodies. Others gave out only one death spasm before they hung on the stakes, motionless. Jim saw nothing sane here. He turned his attention to the man standing on top of the tumbled-down masonry, who held his hands up in a welcoming gesture. The man's expression and bearing made Jim wish to turn tail and run away as fast and as far as he could. He had never seen this man before, but his description fit what he had learned from Pug of Sorcerer's Isle and a demon master named Amarantha. The man on the stones above was Belasco, one of the most dangerous men alive, and certainly one of the maddest. With a sweep of his hand, the domineering magic user conjured a mirage, a shimmering likeness that hung in the air above his head, one that made the mob at his feet cry out in supplication and awe. The image was Dahun, and from what Jim had learnt over the last 6 months, the appearance of his likeness, almost as if he stood here in the flesh, meant that his servants were closer to opening a portal for him. Dahun was 20 feet tall and roughly man-shaped, but he also possessed a long
Sample complete. Ready to continue?